That's the fear of startups and the whole concept. You need to be doing more faster. You're constantly watching the clock.
Welcome to Scouting for Growth. Today, I'm meeting with Mike Minett, CEO and Chief Idea Guy at Portabl. Portabl is a platform and a community which provides insurance benefit savings to freelancers and self-employed professionals. Portabl wraps this all up into a monthly membership where goods, services, and products are bundled, also tailored for individuals and their family members to enable them to serve the industry they focus on. Portabl members save time, money, and stress at the click of a button by leveraging the platform. On this podcast, we will cover why Mike decided to move from consulting to building an InsurTech focused on the future of work. What is Portabl's focus and core proposition? What is required to build a gig economy focused startup? And we will also touch on ESG and the future of tech. So let's get started. Hi, Mike. How are you today?
Great, Sabine. Got that Friday feeling. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. So, I was reading your LinkedIn profile, and I can see you have set up Portabl over 3 years ago. So can you tell us a little bit more about this project? Because you come from the consulting world as well, I think.
Yes. Look, 3 years. It feels like yesterday on the one hand. On the other hand, it also feels like 10 years. And I think that's the fear of startups and the whole concept. You need to be doing more faster. You're constantly watching the clock. I think we've been on a journey. It's fair to say that. We exploded out of the gates and got some opportunity in the US that was probably too big for us where we were at in our stage of journey, and then made the decision to come back and technically build and launch again out of London. Then we got a little bit of COVID interruption as part of that. We were due to close our first round of funding in March 2020. And of course, March 2020 never happened. So things sort of fell apart at that point. But interestingly, Portabl and our proposition to sort of better serve and support the independent, freelance and gig world of work continued to be interesting, and COVID only accelerated everything. So, on the one hand, yes, we've lost time, but actually I think the timing will work out even better for us as we prepare now to finally launch into market. So yeah, it's been a journey. That's where we'll leave it.
So first question, I would say, tell us a little bit more about you, Mike, and your journey. And then let's talk about Portabl and what got you into designing, shaping, launching this platform for gig workers.
Yeah, look, so what do I say? I did 20 years in fintech before it was called fintech. So been around a little while. So used to work investment banking as an independent worker, as a contractor, banking, trading systems, risk and so forth. But look, always wanted to do my own thing. And then probably at the very wrong age and the very wrong time, my wife would call it a midlife crisis. I was, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it kind of epiphany. And launched a startup here in London called the Positive Aging Company. And it was health tech, data, employee benefits, health insurance, again, touching on the future of work, but this time it was focused on the aging population and how that is going to impact organizations, and how we are all going to work till we are 80 and live till we are 100. But the whole structure of organizations is designed to push people out the door at 55. So again, fundamentally broken model. There's both challenges and opportunities with aging population. And we set about creating a platform to take care of some of that. Companies do a great job with families and childcare, but they're doing nothing around families and increasingly the elder care responsibilities sitting above it. Ran that business for a couple of years and ended up getting acquired by Mercer, who Marsh McLellan, so the big sort of HR, pension, employee benefits consultancy. and went across with that business to sort of participate. And I think I lasted about 6 hours back in big corporate, and the induction took 5 hours. So already that entrepreneurial itch was there from day one. But it was, inside now Mercer, employee benefits, that HR consulting piece, and a bit of research just crossed my radar about, pretty soon, 50% of the world's workforce are going to be working independently in some shape or form. And they said by 2023. And I was sitting there thinking, look, Mercer, we do a great job looking after the large companies and full-time employees, but who's looking after this new 50%? And it was no one, and still today, it's very few. So that was kind of the genesis for the idea for Portabl. And look, as it's turned out, that 50%, I think the figure is going to be higher. COVID has only accelerated. It feeds all into the whole future of work, flexible working, remote working, the changing of the models. I say the days of large company and full-time employment is shrinking, and this new world of work, life, whatever you want to call it, is unfolding fast. And that's our specialty. That's our passion, looking after and serving and supporting those independents.
It's interesting you saying those numbers. I worked recently on a piece of research and branding initiative with a company called Eventi. And the research showed that 71% of the working population would rather work anywhere around the world than get a promotion. Only 13% of people will work from the office. And then, you have this great resignation in America. I think 35 million people resign from a really comfy job to actually go for portfolio strategy, portfolio work. And so when you think about Portabl, how you saw for, you mentioned over 55, right? People who actually will not probably work for a big organization and may have various opportunity to work with many companies to leverage their skills.
That's exactly it. They're our people. The clue's in the brand name. We want to create a portable structure that wraps around the individual and follows them with whatever they've got going on, whatever pieces of work they might have going on, for whichever client they might have going on, and ultimately across any geographies that they might be traveling and working through. Because at the moment, you plug into the organization, you leave that organization, you unplug, and you have to go and start again. So it's just, the model is no longer fit for the way people are choosing to live and to work. But that also comes with its challenges, especially around the regulatory piece. And also around the risk profiling. And that's kind of, our secret sauce, if you like, is our FRISK score, freelancer risk. Because where it's broken is today, as an employee of a company, your underwriting score is here and your credit score is here. But tomorrow, that very same person decides to go out and set themselves up on their own and go off on their new adventure. Their underwriting drops and their credit scoring drops only because they are now independent. Yet this is the same person with the same network, the same skills and experiences, the same career trajectory potentially. So why should they face bias and penalty just because they are independent? The only reason is the models are built for that old world. So we're trying to tackle it through data and analytics, better understanding of these individuals, to present that story back to our insurance and credit partners on behalf of these individuals, so they get a better and fairer deal. Because when they're out there by themselves, for themselves, first starting out, they have absolutely nothing in place. They've got no idea what they need to have in place. Oh my gosh, I need to set up a bank account. Do I need to have a limited company? I need professional indemnity. Who's now looking after my health insurance? So it's just this very challenging, messy set of circumstances. And we're trying to take care of as much of that as possible for our members, to free them up just to get after the value creation work, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. As you were talking, an image came into my mind, the matrix, right? Because we live in some ways in sort of matrices, and at the same time you are building Portabl to dematrix us in some ways with the old way of doing things. So I have this visualization of, I could see the movie, but at the same time I'm just
All right, well, you can be my co-star.
You could actually do the Portabl movie, huh?
Yeah.
But so what does that mean? So you already mentioned some of the products and you mentioned some of the services. So where is Portabl today? Where are you planning to go? And what are the main products and services you're providing your members?
Yes. So look, we're on the cusp of launch, and it's great to be able to say that because it has been that journey. We've kind of been deliberately concentrating on product and platform. They'll call it stealth mode. It hasn't really been stealth because we've been out and about, but we've taken the decision to do things a certain way, dictated fundamentally by the data and the research. So we've had over 1,000 conversations now with independent workers all around the world. We start with what keeps you awake at night to identify the key things, and it's not just products and services, which has been really fascinating for us. Community, connection, water cooler moments, mental health support, loneliness. These are real things that an employee is supported with by the company, but for those who are out by themselves, for themselves, they don't easily have access to any of this. So there's a whole emotional and social piece above and beyond the sort of the insurances and the protection piece. So we've got 3 pillars to the proposition. It's about connection, it's about protection, and it's about growth. So it's connection to peers for trusted advice and support, to good partners and products and services, to good insurances. The protection piece makes sense to itself, protecting you, fundamentally your health, because it is independent, it's precarious. You lose your health, it impacts your ability to earn. You lose your ability to earn, it impacts your health. So we really concentrate on that health and well-being piece, trying to keep our members happy and healthy and productive. Mm-hmm. And then we concentrate on the earning capacity, which is the growth story. I'm here, I want to be better. I've got this skill set. I need to future-proof through professional skills, training and development. So by default, it becomes quite holistic, looking after your health, your finances, your work, and ultimately trying to help you have a happier and healthier life.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what you're also saying is the product and services is not just a product and service, right? It's a proposition. It's an aggregated group of capability which enable your user, the
Yes.
independent worker, to feel fulfilled, which may include protection, but the proposition include other elements to provide this 360 view of what they need. Yes. To be successful.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. I can't stress to you how important that whole community piece has come through, and the protection. But this is what we're trying to sort of explain to our insurance partners. Look, insurance for good is a good thing, but people don't wake up in the morning saying, I wish I had more insurance. They don't even know what they have, what they don't have, what they should probably have, that it's a lot more affordable than probably what they thought. So a lot of our work is to explain there's insurances for good. Now, a lot of these insurances comes with some really nice features attached to them, of access to virtual GP, access to some counseling and mental health support, access to physio. So it's about, the protection piece is important because our thesis is you build from a strong base, right? So just is good common sense, simple stuff. The laptop and the smartphone are the most business critical tools of any of us. Do these folks have them insured? Oh, I think I do, or I think I don't, or I think I got it on my credit card. So there's something, but I don't know. Well, it's like, you really should, because all your data, your IP, your CRM is likely either in your phone or on your laptop. So that's the sort of protection piece that's important to the independent worker, because they don't have the company to replace their phone if it drops in the pool, or to rebuild their laptop,
Yeah.
So holistic.
That's cool. And so another thing which you highlighted is that multi-tenant angle. You have insurance partners, you have your communities of independent workers. I assume you also have other members in your community. So how do you build your digital ecosystem, Mike? How you bring your parties together?
Yeah, look, one, you're spot on 2 points. We're building an ecosystem. We see Portabl in the middle. We see our role to connect independent workers to good employers of independent workers, and ultimately to good product and service providers. So the triangle is the company gets a happier, healthier, more productive independent worker. That provides a better risk profile back to our insurance and credit partners for them to be able to provide a better service. So it becomes this sort of positive circle of win-win-win. Everybody wins. And then it's digital. I mean, we are 100% digital end to end. That's our ambition, and we've built that from the start. So we're able to aggregate a highly fragmented audience through our technology and our platform to put it in front of, you know, our various partners across those sort of services and insurances that we're looking to bring. And then we'll get a little bit more clever going forward with that ecosystem, the community. I think it enables us to then start thinking about peer-to-peer innovation. The community by default is its own pool of risk. So I think we can do some cool stuff. We talk about the mutual of the future and everything that could entertain, but that's probably for another podcast on another day.
Yeah, and you know it's really crucial. You know, if you don't mind talking for a second to our colleagues, startups, and entrepreneurs and founders out there, what have been your good, your bad, and your uglies? You know, what has been for you the journey to get to Portabl and define a really critical proposition and business model, which you think now is sustainable to drive the growth you're seeking?
Look, the good has been from day one. We've put this proposition concept in front of the world. We were fortunate to get selected for a Techstars program in the United States, sponsored by MetLife Insurance, focused on the freelance and gig economy. Yeah. Then Plug and Play, InsurTech in Silicon Valley, the Accenture FinTech lab here. So at the top, we've put our proposition there. And then from the bottom, we've had these 1,000 conversations, and overwhelmingly, hurry up and finish because we're ready to play in some shape or form. So that's always been the good. The bad is it's tough, you know, and you know this, and this is that early stage chicken and the egg. And we're still there now. Originally, it was you need to have product or revenue, one or the other, to get investment. All right, so we've got product. Now we want to see some revenues and early traction. Whew, okay, we're almost there for that. So the bad is that hamster wheel of trying to bootstrap, trying to be lean, trying to do the right thing, the pressure of the working capital to be able to do it properly is a tough thing, but that's common. The ugly is, and our little journey, we were fortunate. We raised in COVID, but then our investors hit some turbulence, which caused us some turbulence. So having gone and done the hard part, it just impacted us right on the cusp of, a critical moment in the journey. So it can get really ugly. And this is, the startup journey is a crazy one. And just with some founders yesterday at an event, what is it about? It's about persistence, it's about resilience, and it's about creativity. And that's intra-hour. Because I'll come off this. This has been a great session. I'll go back to my desk and there'll be some sort of caca that's just exploded that brings you back down. And then an hour later, you got to be back up. And then that's your life and that's your journey until you start to cross over some of these important thresholds and milestones. So the ugliness is it's just tough. it's tough, and even it doesn't stop because you'll solve some challenges, and then you'll be in the next phase of the journey, and a whole new set of challenges will be in front of you. So, but here we are. It's my second go. It's an addiction or a curse. I'm not sure which one.
Which is a good curse. Whether it's addiction or curse is a good one, right? It's about changing the world.
Yeah.
Things better for amazing communities. But so what would you say to the investors? You mentioned that there was good and less good during COVID with investors you had allocated funding and then I guess could not give you the funding they had promised because they got impacted themselves by COVID. What do you want to say to the investors?
So look, it's actually part of the journey. We hung tough with them. They hung tough with us. They sorted themselves out. We're back now in great shape. I think that was a really unique relationship. I think what I love about the US in this game is they have an absolute appreciation for the crazy entrepreneur to initiate an idea, a project, a concept, a startup. And they respect that and they back that craziness, because that's where the seed gets planted for the future investment opportunities to exist.
Yeah.
It's just part of that. And I sometimes wonder if that entrepreneurial spirit is backed and appreciated, and backed when it's really, really tough. Within the UK system, just quite different to the US. Look, I know there's initiatives out there, early stage. What's your definition of early stage? What's your definition of a startup? Now they're talking about growth stage. A startup is you're starting something up. It's pretty simple, but you need to do it the right way. Some decent capital to bring it all to life, to move it through the sort of the discovery, the validation, the can we sell it, can we sell lots of it methodology.
But one thing you are saying is, the US investor is much more open to innovation and craziness. And so it sounds like it's the reverse. And I think Asia as well, we've seen amazing things happening in Asia. But what I'm hearing is you feel that our European investors are a bit more risk averse. So what do you think needs to be done to get them maybe to consider better, young start up, as you said, to raise and get access to capital they need?
It's so much of it's just about being given a chance. So even us, also with our connections and back into the various networks, come back to us when you've got 1,000 headcount, or come back to us when you've got 5,000. We know we're going to get to those numbers, but you need the sort of the enthusiasm and the partnership, always that chicken and the egg, to get to that point. Or we need some data to be able to prove out our risk score and our model. And then, from an early stage investment point of view, 50,000 or 100,000 pounds is meaningful and significant to an early stage startup. I'm not sure if it is necessarily if we just think about a large insurer or a large bank, but it can make all the difference. So it's kind of, it depends on, I think it always depends on where the company is at in its journey as to where the ideal match is. But it would be great to see more, it's not generosity, but just more openness to collaborate and explore, prove value, help collaborate, develop. Because we had a funny one with a large American insurer. Oh, we invest in startups all the time. We just help so and so put 30 million into their Series C. I'm like, guys, that's not startups. That's baby unicorn territory. So it's different.
Yeah, it's understanding the level of magnitude and what the early stage requirements are to build those unicorns. And, we deal with an industry which is highly risk averse. So decisions tend to be made when things are probably a bit more baked than early.
Yeah, yes, correct. And, we understand that. We're trying to get half baked.
Which is cool. There's this term we hear everywhere. So we'll talk about digital ecosystem, but there's this term we hear everywhere, which is embedded insurance. How does embedded plays for Portabl and the Portabl team?
Look, I think we play buzzword bingo for fun because we tick all the boxes: digital ecosystem, blockchain, if you wanted to, tokens, embedded. What we're trying to do is, for the individual, we think about the customer, everything in one place. It's there if you need it. If you want professional indemnity insurance, click here and it will be added back now into your wallet. So we try and embed from our side. And then from a partnerships point of view, we're trying to embed our proposition into a logical journey. So for example, we're working with one of the new neobanks who are focused on the self-employed independent workforce. So getting our proposition to now be embedded as part of their bank account holder. All right, we're looking after your banking, but now we can help you with health insurance and other health and well-being activity. So, that's how we think about and try and become embedded. The dream is for there to be no insurance. You just take out a membership of Portabl and you're covered off on what we think would be the ideal set of protections. But we're not there yet.
Yeah. So how many insurers are you working with, and how has been I know you have talked about the relationship from an investment viewpoint, but you need those to provide capacity. So how has been your relationship with the insurers, and how are they supporting you as well in your journey?
Yeah, look, so we've worked hard. I think we've spoken to everybody. I'm always reminded of the Zego, and we use that. They knocked on 43 before they finally found their one. I reckon we've been close to that. But we've landed now on some great people with Legal in General, Markel, Chubb, ARAG, who are, as passionate as we are about this whole future of work and how it's unfolding and so forth. So that's always what we look for in our partners. We've had others approach us. They see us as a distribution channel into this fast-growing market. But we're looking for a little bit more from our partners, because it is, you've got to have that passion. And it is about exploring and collaborating, because their models don't talk to this new world of work and life, far from it. But that's where the opportunity is. And, we love how it's unfolding. There'll be more to follow, because, we're looking to add as much to it as possible, so that the individual, it's all there. They'd have to do nothing, think about nothing. We save them that time and that money and that stress of even worrying about it. That's
cool. The other patterns I think you just mentioned is that talent. One thing I've realized from a conversation I've had recently is that talent, which are not offered an hybrid working option, are likely not to join a company nowadays.
Yep.
And I've heard it from big, Fortune 500 who actually have a non-flexible working approach despite COVID and the change in working patterns, and people walking away from jobs. So what you are saying is so true, that the world is changing and everybody needs to adapt, and therefore protection needs to adapt as a result. How do you see that impacting a company with their ESG principles?
Look, we get it. There's just such a fundamental and structural shift going on, and it's happening now at pace. Flexible working has always been the number one employee benefit, and organizations in the past have dabbled with it. You can come in a little late, or you can leave a little early. That's about as far as they were willing to go. Then it's like, all right, well, you can work from home on a Friday. always reluctant because they never trusted the employee at the end of the day. Then COVID just threw it all out the window because no choice. Everyone have to go home, and we have to start learning how to be productive from home. And what they actually discovered is, literally on a phone call, they're able to transfer their organization, the productivity everywhere, and probably get to about 60 or 70%, straight away as was. Now over time, they'll improve that through better use of technology and working practices and so forth. But all of a sudden, that took the whole trust thing out of the discussion. I think if COVID had finished within sort of 6 months, it would have rolled back. But the longer it went on, there's no going back now. And they talk about there being 10 years of shift have been captured in those 10 months. So this new workforce model is a given. From an ESG point of view, look, clearly there's environmental benefits, not the pressure on the infrastructure or the transport systems, spreading people out of big cities across satellite cities, would be a good thing for the environment. I'm just saying this off the top of my head from an environmental point of view. It's not really my specialty, but certainly if we think about the social column within the ESG equation, I think that's where there's plenty to be had. One of them is equal opportunities. So, this would come into the discussion. Parity, it's a big one between those who work independently and those who are in full-time employment. Access to sort of support and services as part of that. Freedom and the mobility question is part of it. Freedom of choice, especially now people have, really embraced that whole work-life balance. And that flexibility, it just comes down to flexibility and true flexibility. That's what everybody is after. Then there's no doubt health, the positive health impacts, the reduce of the stress bit of the commute, or they even talk about introverts being forced into a corporate environment versus extroverts, and extroverts now having to work from home and how it's not working for them. So again, fascinating dynamics that are all part of this new model. That all sort of tie back into, I'll say, the challenges that the ESG scoring is trying to improve. And then of course governance. Well, good governance, good practice, good data.
Tell me, Mike, what about the future of insurance? Where do you see us going from here?
Well, I think even just your last little question, I mean, there's challenge because the models are broken, but there's absolute opportunity. And if we think about simple thing, employer liability. So when you're sitting in their office and something happens, you're covered as an employee. I wonder if you're now working from home and you slip over in the kitchen, does that employee liability stretch to that sort of a situation? Conversely, you pay a lot of money for house insurance and contents insurance. But if you're now sitting at home more often, you're less likely to be burgled. So why does your house insurance need to stay the same if you're going to be around more? So I think these kind of, the way people are living and working and moving around is a real opportunity to sort of reassess how these sort of traditional insurances work and function, let alone the opportunity to create something new and interesting that straight out of the gate caters for and accommodates the way people now are going to be choosing to live and to work.
And that is fascinating because in many markets, the penetration of insurance is still quite low, even in developing markets. And so what you also are saying is we're also opening an opportunity to increase that penetration by serving the customer much better with products and services they need to protect themselves long term.
Yeah, and again, I would bet my house on it. There's a nice win-win-win to be had. A win for the organization, a win for the independent worker or the FTE worker who happens now to prefer that hybrid working model. and then back to, to the various partners, insurance, credit, and so forth, who are looking to better serve and support these folks and these organizations. It's a structural and it's a seismic shift that's going on. I reckon it's kind of like year 2 of a 100-year journey, just to get all romantic. But this is just what's happening, and the models are broken. Challenge and opportunity.
Always.